What is going on? Welcome to another episode of Nintendo News Daily. I'm your host, N64 Josh. We're going to be taking a look at a handful of news bites as well as digging into some potential game leaks for the Switch 2. That'll kind of be our main topic that we'll be discussing. So, super excited to be hanging with you guys on this Monday. And I think I'm going to go ahead and hit the intro. So, here we go. So I actually have the live up. I'm watching. I'm going to see if this intro does me dirty or not, and if I'm just sitting here staring at the screen. And it looks like it might have been okay. It looks like it might have been okay. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Um, but I see we got a handful of people jumping in already. Joey is here and says, "Hey there, Miss Friday. It was a crazy day, but ready for a new week of Nintendo. Absolutely. So excited to chat some Nintendo with you guys. Like a lot to talk about, honestly. A lot to talk about. There's quite a bit in the news, and it's also going to be fun kind of taking a look at some of these potential leaks. So I see Drawing Port is here. Welcome on in. So good to see everybody. I hope you guys are doing amazing. So I want to let everybody know a little bit of housekeeping is that on the 13th, I'm going to be doing my birthday stream here on YouTube, and I'll be live. I might be live in all three places, honestly. That might end up being the play, but for sure live on YouTube, for sure live on TikTok, but I may be live on Twitch as well, just because we'll just see if I can make all three of them work. But we got Nady Nay is here. Drunk Visit, what's going on? All the way from Finland. Let's go. I love it. Joey Pitt said new leaks. They need to call the Red Plumber. Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, so the 13th, I'm gonna be doing my birthday stream. We're gonna be playing all kinds of different games. I saw some suggestions from the chat yesterday saying let chat pick the games. So we'll see how it goes, but it should be a lot of fun. And super excited to hang with you guys that day. So Mario Kart Wii is here. Let's go. So let's jump into some of these news bites. And again, our main topic is going to be looking at some more, like, kind of the list. I think it's essentially the list of everything that has been leaked, right? Like, leaked. So also, guys, feel free to let me know what you think about the new layout. um I was noticing I really like using this website called Restream, but periodically the audio from my mouth gets off, and so I'm using gameplay as B-roll, and then keeping my camera smaller, so I'm hoping it's less of a distraction. So let me know what you guys think of that in the comments. But jumping into the news. Oh, actually, I need to look at chat. So Joey says, is one of the leaks the Canada Store Switch 2 price holder? We might have to talk about that. We might have to talk about that. So, Drawing Port says, I don't know how much longer I can wait for April 2nd. I'm super excited. And Cece is here. Welcome on in. So, well, first up, let's talk about some sales. You can save on Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Mega Man with Capcom's eShop sale up to 75% off. So I'm going to kind of just go through the list, and there's some great games on here. So um, the Ace Attorney Anthology, Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, and Apollo Justice, the Ace Attorney Trilogy. You got Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry 2, Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition, Mega Man 11, Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection Volume 1, and Mega Man Legacy Collection, Legacy Collection 2, Mega Man X Legacy Collection, and Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2. We've got Monster Rise plus Sunbreak, and Monster Rise plus Sunbreak Deluxe is 1999. So I don't know if many of you guys played the Wilds beta this last weekend, and I know it's going a little bit longer because apparently um, the PlayStation Network has been down, and so you get an extra 24 hours with that beta if you haven't played it yet, so, which is which is great. That's always fun. But I am seeing reports of people saying like it's not running super great. Like now, granted, it's a beta, it could be an older build, that kind of thing, which has me a little concerned though when it comes to when it comes to Switch 2. Because if it's not running that great on PlayStation, Xbox, or maybe even PC, what is that going to mean for something like Switch 2? Because my assumption is that that game will come to Switch 2, like no question. But little concerning. And when I played at PAX West, I was concerned about it. So if you want an absolutely fantastic Monster Hunter experience for 19.99, like maybe you're waiting for this upcoming Nintendo Direct in April, then Sunbreak is a great way to kill the time. So, and if you already have Rise, you can get Sunbreak just for $9.99. Monster Hunter Stories is down to $23.99, and Monster Hunter Stories 2 is $29.99. And then you can get the deluxe version, um, Monster Hunter Stories 2 for $34.99. It looks like you can get the collection. You can get both of them for $39.99. So, and the deluxe collection for $44.99. So, some great deals there. Onimusha, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney Trilogy, Resident Evil 0. Okay, if you are a Resident Evil fan and maybe you want to revisit some of these games on your Switch, Resident Evil 0, 4, 5, 6, Revelations and Revelations 2. Well, Revelations and Revelations 2, $7.99. Keep in mind, those were 3DS games. So it's great to see those. But it also adds to the overall, like we've been talking quite a bit about 3DS games coming to Switch and being that kind of those filler games. Well, both of these are they were on Wii U as well. So I see Sunshine is now here. We got quite a few people hanging out. Welcome everybody. And but then Resident Evil 0, 4, 5, and 6, all available for $9.99. So if you want to jump back in any of those, tons of great deals from Capcom on the eShop right now. Now, Nintendo talks about the future support ahead of Switch 2. And they say, we would like to continue releasing new titles. Now, they kind of just dig into what's been mentioned, and we kind of briefly touched on this last week a little bit. But Furukawa says, so far, we have announced Pokemon Legends ZA, Metroid Prime 4, Beyond, as Nintendo Switch titles scheduled for release in 2025. Since many people are playing Nintendo Switch, if we are able to develop appealing software, we would like to continue releasing new titles. On the other hand, exclusive games are crucial when launching new hardware. With this in mind, we will consider various ways for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 to encourage as many consumers as possible to enjoy our games. And we talked about this, guys, at length, and we just mentioned it. I think 3DS ports are going to be a big push here. And I'll kind of ask you guys in the chat, like, do you guys think that like does if Nintendo did basically every major port to from the Wii U, right? And now we're starting to see more games from 3DS. Could 3DS and Wii U be the systems that Nintendo basically ports everything that's a first party title, and then we can see Wii, DS, GameCube make their way to Nintendo Switch Online? I'm curious about this, if that's kind of the way they're going. But I do think they need to get the pricing nailed down, or they're gonna kind of they could potentially bite themselves. But I think there's a very real possibility when the smoke clears and everything's all said and done, that a lot of these ports may start at 60, but then drop down to 40 for a player's choice, right? So I've been kind of beating that drum for a while on like the Nintendo Selects with the player's choice, but I do think that we see that happen just to watch more software move. So it'll be interesting to see, like, I know there's a lot of us that would just be like, "Yo, I'd really love to see, 3DS games," and who knows, like, maybe, maybe because we see a handful of 3DS titles, does that mean we don't see just their straight up, uh, like, the straight up, like, you know, OG game on NSO? I don't think that would hurt anything either if, you got Luigi's Mansion 2. That was a full-on port, but then they just do the OG game. No, nothing really up-resed or whatever. I don't see any big problems with that, but I don't know what they do because I also don't foresee them doing every single 3DS game, like first party. So it's I'm kind of torn on this one just a bit. So um Nate says, "I don't know. Personally, it's nothing I'd really get excited about." And Nate will forever hate all ports and remakes. I have come to learn. He is not he Nate wants new experiences, and there is nothing wrong with that. Joey says, "I've never had a 3DS or a Wii U. That was my PS3, PS4 phase. It's not a phase, mom, you know." So he said, so would love to try those games somehow. Cryptic says 3D Land, Link Between Worlds stuck on 3DS, so it would be cool to see them remastered, especially for Mario's 40th. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. It is striking that balance between, like, I think if we see remasters and remakes, I think they're fine sprinkled in, especially for everybody that's in the place that either A, they don't like them stuck on the console that they launched on, because maybe they don't want to pick up a 2DS or their 3DS, or B, like in Joey's case here, where never played those before. Um, I'm also curious though, like, so Nate says, I don't mind gap fillers, which is understandable, but ports and remakes have just been way too prevalent across gaming right now. Yes. And so there's there's that aspect of it as well. Is is just that, like, yo, I mean, I think Sony I think Sony has kind of led the charge when it comes to remasters and remakes and stuff getting put out way too quickly. Um Cryptic says maybe the DS 3DS is part of the NSO combo. And again, that's my hope. I hope we get everything up to 3DS on on NSO. That's my that's really what I'm hoping for. So I don't think I'm gonna take a quick peek here, but I don't think, because these are, I'm looking and I don't see. So as far as, they mention, um Furukawa mentions Pokemon Legends ZA. I'm hearing rumors, you guys might be as well, that Pokemon Legends ZA may be coming out much earlier in the year, and that there's a potential remake of another series of another, one of the older generations coming out in November. So we might, because we essentially skipped a year for Pokemon, which we haven't really done. Pokemon and Zelda have pretty much been our staples when it comes to Switch as a new release every year, or at least DLC for those titles. And so there's also this the potential rumor of a Pokemon remake. And do you guys think that maybe that is the reason we aren't seeing any of these of the Pokemon titles coming to Nintendo Switch Online? Like, I feel like it's honestly, like, sad. Like, there is such a rich history of these games to go back and play. Like, I have a feeling Nintendo would move massive amounts of subscriptions for Pokemon to hit the Nintendo Switch Online. But what does that do for the set? Like, is there potential sales being lost if they can do, remakes or ports of those things as well? Like, it's such a crazy thing. But I can tell you this much, like, because obviously I'm not the hardcore Pokemon fan, right? But if they did, I like to correlate it, like the different generations have different nostalgia uh for different games. And I feel like, my generation up through like the Super Nintendo, probably a little bit more like Mario, right? But then you go a little beyond that, and now they're into Pokemon being a little bit more of a nostalgia pull. I can tell you right now that if they remade, Super Mario Brothers, right? And I mean, they would have to do some serious work to that thing to make it worth like $60. So just bear with me. I'm just speaking in general terms, right? But if they did that, I wouldn't be any less likely to still go and play the original periodically, just because that was my childhood. Like, it still puts that warm fuzzy feeling every time I hear that music and see that first Goomba. Like, there's just something to that. So I don't know that those games being on NSO would really take away from sales, because I feel like the hardcore are gonna want those games regardless. But who knows? I could be completely off. Um, Joey says, imagine being able to get a Switch or Switch 2 and play any Nintendo game past or present. That's my hope with Switch 2. That is my hope. Joey says Pokemon Red would sell so well on the eShop or subscriptions to NSO. And that's when I think about Pokemon and the classic games, I don't just think about like being able to play through them and have your single player experience, but like incorporate these things into Pokemon Home, like bring the past into the present, kind of like they did on 3DS, where I believe you could move your Pokemon from, red and blue and yellow, and put them in Home. But to be able to have online functionality, be able to battle and trade and all the things that made Pokemon so special, like, I think bringing those, they're just sitting in limbo, and it's so crazy to me. But they're the big difference between comparing them to like Mario Brothers, like you can beat Mario Brothers in 5 minutes, right? Like, you can play through it very quickly if you want to. Pokemon, you got hours of gameplay. It's an RPG, right? So whether you're uh like playing through it the classic way, or playing through it like I did when, what they do, Pearl and Diamond, right? Those were fantastic. Like, I had such a great time with those. I had such a great time with those. Honestly, deep down, I wish you could just hit a button and switch between the graphics of each. Like, I love that kind of stuff as well. But I think fans of these series and the pull of nostalgia, we just love having access to the games we love, and that's it. So, uh, Joey Pitt says, "Be perfect to play on a Switch Lite." Absolutely, absolutely. Cryptic says, "I just want to play Heart Gold without having to pay over $100 for it. Those games are expensive," and that's a fact. Also, Nintendo's not seeing any of that money. Pokemon is not seeing any of that money whatsoever, and so it feels like they're sitting on a gold mine. And I almost wonder if there's like these boardroom meetings where everybody is just butting heads and they cannot decide what to do with these classic Pokemon games. Because again, like I've been saying, I think there's an audience out there that would eat this up. We don't play these classic games all the time. I get it. I know that. But I think there are, you want to be able to go back and revisit your childhood by firing up NSO. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that? So Cryptic says it's funny because you could buy them on 3DS. Not sure about Wii U. The Wii U was in a similar situation. You couldn't purchase, if I remember correctly, you couldn't purchase mainline Pokemon games. So um that, you know, that is that was again an interesting decision, but they also knew their market, right? Handheld, the handheld market being where Pokemon was at for the longest time. So so interesting the way Pokemon is being handled. Joey says, although a side question, Wario Land 4, have you played it? Yay or nay? Haven't played it. We do have it in the news here. We'll just hit it right now. That'll be our next little news bite here. So Nintendo expands Nintendo Switch Online GBA library next week with Wario Land 4 for the perfect Valentine's gift. It will be here on the 14th, which I think that means we'll probably get it the 13th. So just, you know, check it regularly. I've only played Mario Land 1 and 2. Loved 2, and having Wario as the villain was great. I've watched the gameplay for Wario Land 4 a few times since they announced this. It looks really good. It looks really fun, and like something I kind of want to jump in and check out, and kind of hope that they maybe continue what as I was watching the footage. I'm like, is it time for like a wall Peach and a wall Daisy, like we got the evil versions of Mario and Luigi. Like, is it time for evil versions of Peach and Daisy? I feel like there could be some fun to be had with seeing more characters come to life like that. So just taking a little blurb from Nintendo's site here. It says Wario Land 4 is coming to Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack on 2/14. Loot Looney Wario has discovered his biggest score yet. It's a fabulous golden pyramid filled with riches. Trouble is, its denizens don't want to give up the treasure easily. But that hasn't stopped Wario before. In Wario Land 4, the greedy hero finds himself no longer invincible as in his previous platform adventures. He can, however, undergo amazing transformations that aid him in his quest, like becoming Vampire Bat Wario, Bouncy Wario, or even Zombie Wario. So what is this? Is this Wario Land Odyssey? Is that what we're seeing here? Is this is this Wario Odyssey? Is that maybe that's the next sequel, you guys? It's not going to be Mario Odyssey. It's going to be Wario Odyssey. So get ready. Get ready. Nate says, yes, we need damsels causing distress. I love it. I love it. Cryptic says, glad it's coming. It feels like I've been waiting a while for some new quality GBA games, and there's so many there. So Cryptic says, my favorite memories with GBA games is like third party. So that could be why we're not seeing a lot of them. Sonic Advance, Castlevania Advance, etc. And I mean, although I did play a lot of the first party GBA games, there was like some, I can't even remember the name of it, but it was like a first person shooter that was on GBA. It did not control that great. It was very much a boomer shooter, right? And I think it had to do with like a psych ward and stuff, and it was supposed to be kind of a creepy game, but again, it was GBA, so you can't expect too much from that. But like Sonic Advance, yo, my buddy and I, you guys maybe have heard me talk about this before, but like we would do time trials on different levels in Sonic, and I would run it, and then I would hand him the Game Boy. And we would be at work having to watch these machines, and we would literally be in the same spot for 8 hours a day, just trying to kill time while we watch these charts, and we would just pass Sonic Adventures back and forth, and it was super, super fun. Joey says we need Donkey Kong Country GBA games, although seem the same. They do have a few extra levels and added side games. Oh, there we go. There we go. Nate says, I think that's the problem with N64 too. Good thing Microsoft bought in. Yes, yes. And I mean, again, if I guarantee you the saddest thing about N64 and the licensing of everything is WWF, right? The No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, WCW versus NWO, World Tour, and then Revenge. If we were able to play those games again on the Nintendo 64 NSO, we would be. I can promise you we would be. There is so much fun, but that fun, like without having like, especially with the online experience, like, yo, it would be fantastic. But I think they're lost forever. I can't imagine WWE being like, yeah, go ahead, throw those on there, because I think the whole like, I don't know what happened with why it went from F to E. I know there's like some like I think there's like some kind of conservatory or something that had to do with like wildlife, and and so that they had to change their name. But those were so good, so good. So Joey Pitt says, wait, who owns Diddy Kong Racing? Could that be the reason why it hasn't been brought to NSO yet? So Nintendo owns Diddy Kong, but Rare owns almost every character, if not every character in that game. So Rare has like, you can look up Rare Racing, and like there's like pin sets and different things like that. They refer to Diddy Kong Racing as Rare Racer. So while Diddy Kong was on 64 and DS, Diddy Kong Racing, the the majority of those characters are all owned by Microsoft now. So Cryptic says, also something that I enjoyed is the GBA used to have full TV episodes in a cart, bad quality but still cool to see. Yeah, SpongeBob, Cartoon Network, that kind of stuff, if I remember right. Yeah, Joey says, I remember having Cartoon Network carts. Cryptic, it was so cool for a car ride. Oh yeah, yeah. So a lot of fun stuff throughout the history of the GBA and those different time periods for Nintendo. So I love seeing a lot of it coming back. And in some cases, I'm getting to experience it for the first time. Like I never played Minish Cap, and so that's one I would love to jump into at some point. But I didn't miss a single Metroid game when they were on GBA. Like those were must plays for me. I could not skip those. So here's the rumor. The rumor for Switch 2. A placeholder retail listing suggests Switch 2 price might be cheaper than expected. $500 CAD, but it's a placeholder. So over the weekend, a post on Family Boards with images supposedly showcasing placeholder listings on Canada's internal system has a Switch model listed at $499.99. The post from Protus Ridley, note, content hidden for non-registered Family Board users, includes two images supposedly showing the back-end product listing and printed point of sale sign misspelt as Nintendo Switch placeholder. Interesting. The poster doesn't claim that this is definitely Switch 2 related, but it may be. The price could also be a placeholder as well. They also say that in 5 years of working here, I have never seen a placeholder for anything. Okay. $499, 499 Canadian dollars converts to around 350 USD and 280 GBP at the time of writing, which would be on the lower end of the analysts' pricing predictions for Nintendo's upcoming hardware. However, various global factors at the moment mean that a direct exchange rate comparison isn't terribly helpful for determining Switch 2's MSRP. Nintendo might land on in different territories. For reference, the Switch OLED model currently retails for $449 CAD, 349. They have 348, little typo there. 349.99 USD and 309 GBP, respectively. Nintendo has made no official announcement regarding Switch 2 pricing, although following the publication, it is of its quarterly financial reports last week, Nintendo's president Shintaro Furukawa stated in an investors Q&A that the firm was carefully considering consumer expectations with the Switch 2's pricing. So that would be, I mean, that would be fantastic if that is the actual price. Never seeing a placeholder before and then seeing one is kind of interesting. I don't know the inner, like, I feel like I don't know enough about the inner workings of retail to really be able to give any kind of like educated information on it. But I would be over the moon if it really was like 350. Like that just seems crazy, but it would also move a whole lot of consoles. So that would be amazing, honestly. So moving on here, Rocksteady is reportedly working on a new Batman after the Suicide Squad disaster. And so, taking a look here at the article from Nintendo Life, it says, if you had told us 5 years ago that Batman Arkham Knight would make its way into the Nintendo Switch, we would have laughed in your face and waddled off back to the Iceberg Lounge. Alas, alongside its predecessors, Arkham Knight has arrived on Switch in December of 2023, and though it wasn't particularly very good in terms of performance, in fact, we'd say it was incredibly poor, it was nevertheless a surprising addition to the Switch's library of games. With that in mind, while the news of developer Rocksteady Studio working on a new single-player Batman game would normally go in one ear and out the other, we feel somewhat compelled to pay attention to this time, given the reasonable chance that it may show up on Switch 2. According to an article from Bloomberg, looking at the current misfortunes of Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, Rocksteady is back doing what it does best after the dev failed to make a splash with 2024's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, plagued with delays, negative audience preconceptions, and the game ultimately fell way short of Warner's expectations upon launch, leading to a loss of $200 million. It makes sense then that Rocksteady would go back to the series that made it such a renowned studio in the first place. But according to the Bloomberg piece, it's likely the new project is years away from landing. Not a particularly surprising revelation, but we reckon it's safe to assume that it's going to be a while before any official announcement is made. Major names in the industry, including Microsoft and Take-Two, are seemingly pledging their support to Nintendo in the coming years, with many titles from Warner Brothers catalog showing up on the OG Switch. We honestly wouldn't be surprised to see a new Arkham game land on the Switch 2 in the years ahead, but we're going to have to wait and see. So, yeah, Sunshine says, whoa, that's a pretty penny. Yeah, there was not a lot of love for that game. And there was a lot of very strange and not so great decisions. Now, these Batman games, the four, I've played 3 of the 4. I haven't played, I think there's like a prequel that was on Wii U. I want to say I actually own it on Wii U when I started collecting, but wasn't necessarily playing Wii U titles anymore. And so the what is it? Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and then Arkham Knight, all fantastic games, especially if you're, well, according to Nintendo Life, if you're not playing them on your Switch, at least when it comes to Arkham Knight. I think the other ones would probably work okay. And honestly, Arkham City, one of the best stories and like just incredible like twists that I've ever experienced in gaming. Like it's so good. So Cryptic says sad. They sad that only it said the only property that can come out of DC is the Batman games, and when we see new stuff, they force live service elements. Yeah, and that was the big issue with Suicide Squad for sure. Live service is such a strange beast for these studios to to deal with. Like Activision slash, Microsoft now seem to do has done well with like Call of Duty and Warzone. They've somehow figured out how to charge, $70 for a game and then still have you buy battle passes for it. Fortnite's doing their thing. League's been doing their thing forever. And even like Siege, Rainbow Six Siege, that kind of stuff. But they've got to be like, I think there's issues when it comes from like you're coming from these Batman games to then we're gonna do live service, but we're gonna do it kind of strange. Like 200 million lost is crazy. So Cryptic says, bring me the Superman 64. Oh my goodness. The Superman 64 sequel. Wow. That would be no one wants that. No one wants that. That game needs to just stay put in in history there. So moving on here, we've got Nintendo Music adds Golden Sun soundtrack to the app. So you've got 54 tracks at an hour and 56 minutes. And the tweet that came out, I found to be very strange because it was like Super Mario World and Golden Sun, but like I was under the assumption that Mario World was already there. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I just maybe it's not, but it's there now. And Golden Sun is also there, which it gets a lot of people talking. Like, will Nintendo ever revive this series? And I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know a lot of people really love it, and so I hope that it comes out. Um, so Dash says, I put thousands of hours into all the Halo games on 360, but the only game on Switch and Nintendo consoles nowadays, a port of MCC would put me over the moon. Added gyro and mouse would be chef's kiss. Oh, there you go. So adding MCC, I love that. Cryptic says it is a great soundtrack. And Joey says Mario World wasn't. Okay, gotcha. Like I said, I found it. I look at the app quite often, and it's kind of a blur because it's a relatively large library. So, Isaac to Smash. I know that's why Sakurai retweeted. There we go. There we go. So, and Mario 3 isn't there. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, then yeah, they gotta step it up. Come on, Nintendo. Get the rest of those Mario games on there. Moving on here, Nintendo is developing new mobile game apps, unsurprisingly, even as we transition into Nintendo Switch 2. So, Furukawa says, although we cannot provide details on future application releases, we are continuing to develop new game applications going forward. Even as we transition to Nintendo Switch 2, it remains important to increase touch points beyond video games. We believe the smart devices will take a very important role in this endeavor. We will continue to conduct research and implement initiatives. He goes on to say, Nintendo has released mobile apps in many parts of the world, including countries and regions we have not reached with our dedicated video game platform business. As of the end of September 2024, cumulative downloads of Nintendo apps exceeded 900 million. Total number of unique users for apps released so far by Nintendo. I believe this has increased the opportunity for more people to access Nintendo IP and characters. And so I think like my whole take with Nintendo and mobile, I'm for it. And there's been games that I've spent quite a bit of time on, right? The Fire Emblem game. I've put some time into that. And it's like baby's first Fire Emblem. And they've got their gotcha mechanics and all that kind of stuff. Mario Run, I played through it. I didn't love it. I didn't love that the game was that it was basically an auto scroller. Um, and then, you know, you move into like Animal Crossing and Mario Kart, it felt like there was so much potential, but they allowed the mobile devs to focus too heavily on how you do mobile games versus really doing it the Nintendo way. And I don't know if that makes sense to you guys or not, but, like, there was, like it just seemed to me that if, even given a chance for controller support in Mario Kart, Tour, that would have changed everything. Even given us the ability to stop playing with one hand. That was like one of the things that they were like kind of stuck on. And to me, it's like that old school thinking that they would do with like the Wii and the DS, where you're forced to play with the stylus or you're forced to play with motion controls. They wanted you to be able to play all these games with one hand. Like, my other hand's not going to be doing much while I'm playing a game. So it's okay if it's on the phone and I'm able to play these games somewhat natively to how I'm used to. It might take a little doing, but like especially with the shape of the phone, like make it look like a Game Boy. Nintendo, give us the D-pad and like maybe the four face buttons of the Super Nintendo controller and call it good. I think there's fun to be had in mobile games if done correctly. Like I have jumped into games like Call of Duty Mobile, Madden Mobile, that kind of stuff, and when they are done correctly, it just feels like you're playing a console game. But when they're done with like mobile first in mind, I feel like it sometimes just takes away the fun because you're not playing the games how we're used to playing them. And so I'm all for, especially if like, this kind of goes back like I just was in a retro game store and the Dreamcast memory what was it, like the memory card that was its own little game that you could play, right? Or like the way you could take the Pokeball with you from Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee and like keep it in your pocket and it would level up your Pokemon. If what I feel like Nintendo really needs to nail down is allow the mobile game to tie in so much better with their main games. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp should have tied in far more with New Horizons other than just like, oh, you can get these like 5 to 6 items. Like, no, there should have been quite a bit more to that. And I think it would have enhanced the experience of both of the games. Like if I could have taken some of the items that I collected in Pocket Camp and put them into New Horizons, that would have made me want to go and play more Pocket Camp. But the fact that I couldn't do that, it just kind of hindered things a bit. And because I didn't feel like this isn't like I don't want to put effort into Pocket Camp because it's not my main, it's not where I'm spending the majority of my time. So that's just kind of my thought on Nintendo Mobile. Cryptic says it's surprising, other than Pokemon Go, which is still standing, they ended support for AC Tour. Um, Fire Emblem is still going, I believe. I'm still pretty sure that one is still going. Uh, but yeah, with the way Pokemon has done things, like and the TCG Pokemon TCG that's happening right now, like that thing, I think it did something like it's done insane money. It has done insane money. So like I know Nintendo could do this. I know that Fire Emblem has done insane money. I think Pocket Camp and Tour, they did okay, but like I think if Nintendo moves to a way where like mobile is a support for uh the main the main games, it can also work as a way to potentially bring in sales. Like if you knew you were stockpiling items in Animal Crossing Pocket Camp that you could have then used to decorate and do more in your house, I think that would have been a pretty good carrot on the stick to get people to want to go out and buy a Switch and get the most out of what they've been collecting in Pocket Camp. I could be, maybe it's me, but I've always had a thing for being able to hook my uh or okay, but even before the hook up my GBA to my GameCube, it was put my Game Boy games into my N64 controller and be able to have like my character from Mario Golf in the Mario Golf 64 game. So I played a bunch of Mario Golf on my Game Boy and then moved that character into uh Mario Golf on 64. And those little novelties I've always loved. So and Joey Pitt says, let me replace Siri with Cranky Kong. There you go. Like when you that's what you need for for when you're for your GPS. Like, oh my god, that'd be amazing. It's just yelling at you. Like, I said turn here. Why haven't you turned? Cranky Kong just getting angry. Well, we're gonna get into the second the main topic. That was kind of the news. I know we went 45 minutes on that, you guys. Here's your Nintendo news 45 minutes. Yeah, it's not really Nintendo news minute. Cryptic says, I would use mobile apps for like Mario Maker to design levels on the go. Yes, and upload them later when I get home. And if you could level up your final or your Fire Emblem characters on the go and then transfer to console games, yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like there's got to be a way that they come up with a great monetization strategy so that uh they can the keep the people that can't play on Switch. Maybe, because like they mentioned, we're trying to reach we're trying to reach more people, and some of them don't have access to consoles and that kind of thing. Great. Come up with a great strategy for, fun games that they can still monetize. Like I understand it's mobile, but then the flip side of it, make those games fantastic add-ons for their Switch games. Give us reason to jump in and and play those games. And like you said, Mario Maker, fantastic idea. You know, like I love the idea of Animal Crossing being like, I mean, for instance, Animal Crossing on GameCube, you would plug your Game Boy in, and that's how you would go to like I think it was like Tortimer's Island or something, if I remember correctly, you would visit these. That's how you went to islands in the OG game, was by hooking up your Game Boy Advance. The other thing that you could do that was super fun is, and again, remember the timing of all this. Like we didn't have access to being able to play NES games other than the old school way of doing it, hooking up your Nintendo and playing them. The GameCube Animal Crossing, you could find like actual NES games or like systems, put them in your house, walk up to them, press A, and then start playing those games. Well, if you had the Game Boy, the GBA, you could transfer that game to your Game Boy, and as long as you didn't turn your Game Boy off, you had that NES game with you on the go. And I did that more times than I could count. Like that was something that I just loved. Again, I could be in the minority on this stuff. I get it, but I was geeking out as a kid when it came to, and I wasn't even a kid; I was an adult. I was geeking out with that kind of stuff because I loved it. Again, when it came to like transferring stuff from Game Boy to Nintendo 64, it was also a lot of fun. So, well, let's take a peek at the rumored Switch 2 games so far. So the rumored Switch 2 games so far, we've got a new 3D Mario, not really any other information other than that. New 3D Mario, a Legend of Zelda remake. Now this one is like low-hanging fruit, right? We've got Twilight Princess, we've got Wind Waker that are just sitting there. But let's dream a bit, shall we? What if it's an Ocarina of Time remake? Like, who wouldn't love to go back to Ocarina of Time? And they've done remakes of both Ocarina and Majora's Mask on 3DS that I think most people would say this is the way to play those games. So we know how much they're loving just copy and pasting some of these 3DS games over to Switch. Ocarina, Majora's Mask are right there. I would love it if they got a little bit more love, and then ported those over to Switch, because again, games I would love to revisit, or in my case, I've never played through Majora's Mask. I could see it for the first time. So they've got they've got quite a bit to choose from. Not to mention, you know, I don't Link Between Worlds is kind of more 2D, I guess, but it's on the cusp. It's on the cusp, but it is I'm sure considered more 2D. Um, Here's where things get interesting. The Division is a rumored game from Ubisoft. Uh, Starfield from Xbox, which that seems crazy. That seems far fetched, but who knows? Fallout 4. You know you know that when Microsoft bought Bethesda, they were like, "Yo, Starfield's gonna move consoles." It didn't. It didn't. So now they're trying to recoup, I would say, with Starfield. Sending it over to PS5, potentially Switch 2, but I mean, again, I feel like it's gonna take some work to make that happen. Not that they couldn't do it. I know that's anything's possible, especially with the new tech with the DLSS and all that. But that's a big game, Starfield. So, Fallout 4, Diablo 4, which I mean, Diablo 3 is on Switch. Diablo 4 would be fantastic. Like, would love to jump into that game on Switch 2. And I don't think it's going to be. I don't think that's too crazy. I don't think Fallout 4. Again, I think a lot of this boils down to like size, like how big are they? How much storage are they going to take up? Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Halo the Master Chief Collection, Microsoft Flight Sim, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and a Mario plus Rabbids collection. And that one seems very, very likely to me. Very, very possible that we see a Mario plus Rabbids collection because, again, it just seems like Ubi is trying to recoup some of those losses. I mean, I feel like Ubisoft has struggled quite a bit in these last few years of just really trying to get things to take off. It's like a never ending joke of like, don't buy a Ubisoft title when it launches. Wait a week and it'll already be on sale. And it's like, in some cases that ends up being true. And so it's just like, talk about like there's no faster way to like burn bridges with your potential customers than like, hey, let me sell the most devoted everything at full price, and then everyone else can get it cheaper. Like, it seems so strange, but they've almost trained the consumer to have us buy their games once they finally go on sale. So, um, I would imagine there would be, some graphical upgrades. It would probably be a Mario plus Rabbids, HD collection, and maybe taking advantage of what Switch 2 is capable of doing. So, fingers crossed there. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, like I'm ready. I'm ready. I would love it. I think it would be fantastic to see those games make their way to Switch 2. Master Chief Collection, of course, be super fun. Flight Simulator, crazy, really crazy thinking about that one. Like, but I mean, I had like I have a hard time sitting like playing Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm like, okay, this is cool for about like 5 minutes, but like I feel like I need more. I feel like I need like maybe just simulations aren't my thing, or at least just like flying around. I'm like, I don't know. I know there was like Top Gun DLC. I'd probably have more fun with that. I probably would have some more fun with that. So who knows? Maybe I'd jump back in. Hi-Fi Rush, from what I have played, fantastic. Would be great to see it make its way to the Switch. Sea of Thieves would be that'd be great as well. And it's mostly because like I just love seeing rare games back on Nintendo's console. So I've heard it kicked around a little bit. I'm not seeing it on this list. And again, it's because I mean rumors, leaks, we have no clue, but I've heard Killer Instinct might be making its way back to Switch. Like we've seen it on It's already on NSO. We don't have the 64 version yet. I think it's Killer Instinct Gold. That's not on NSO yet, but maybe that one makes its way over, as well as the game that came out on Xbox One, which was supported for quite some time and was a pretty decent fighting game. Rainbow Six Siege, I was like a little bit shocked to see that one, but would, you know, it's a fantastic game. Like it's so good, like so good. Um, this, I mean, it's a relatively solid list, right? And we were talking about, I did a video last week about GTA 6 coming to Switch. Then Take Two um, had like their investors meeting, and they're talking about how they want to. They're not. There's like CEOs in some of these companies are saying we're not viewing Nintendo as like a little kid company anymore. And so for me, it's like a pretty good indicator that, like, you know, Grand Theft Auto 5 is what I mentioned in that video. Pretty good possibility, especially since it was a 360 title, that's going to make its way to. It's surprising it's not on Switch already, but that would make its way to Switch too. And then, like I said in that video, waiting just a bit to uh, get GTA 6 on Switch too. Maybe it launches the same time it does on PC, because I'm hearing it's supposed to be coming consoles first and then hitting PC later. Maybe that's around the same time it comes to Switch. So Joey says Rare Replay. Yes. Yeah, I would love it. I would love to see the box art, right? With the Switch 2 logo, Rare Replay, seeing some of those characters on the cover that, that I grew up with, that a lot of us probably grew up with, and being able to jump into just so many um, classic Rare titles. And we do, like, Microsoft's done a great job of getting a lot of those games onto NSO, and and so that's so appreciated. So, well, it's quite the list. Obviously, Ubisoft's like, we got to get as many games out as possible. You got Rainbow Six, you got The Division, Assassin's Creed, plus Mario, plus Rabbids. Like they're ready. They're ready to start getting more sales on all their stuff, because I know the company's been really struggling. So, and then getting that information, that news about the Take Two CEO, and I think I think this is going to be the Nintendo generation where it's going to feel like the old days, guys. It's going to feel like the GameCube days, or the N64 days, or even the Super Nintendo days, where it's like, oh, here's Madden and here's Mario Kart. Like, we're having those kind of conversations, like, oh, here's Call of Duty, and games like these are mature rated games. These are games that, like, for people that are strictly Nintendo, like, gamers, you're gonna experience like some of the best of the best. Like the Division. There's a pretty big community around the Division, and a lot of people really love that game. And it's great for multiplayer, like fantastic for multiplayer. Rainbow Six Siege, I'm just going to warn you, be careful. Be careful playing Rainbow Six Siege, because that game can suck you in, and it's game over. It is game over, because it's fantastic. It's really good. So I haven't touched many Assassin's Creed games in quite some time, so I can't really speak on those. But I know, when they do hit, they seem to hit pretty well, and so hopefully these are good and run well on Switch too. And again, it's all pure speculation, but I mean, Master Chief Collection, so big, like so big to be able to play Halo on a Nintendo. Like, this is like the equivalent of when we first saw, Sonic in Smash, right? Like, it's just like, is this real? Like, is this really happening? But I think it's going to be the case. I think it's going to be a great time to be a Nintendo fan, uh, or even um, a better time to be a Nintendo fan than it has been for the last 8 years, because we're gonna see so many more titles making their way to the Nintendo ecosystem, which I think is just amazing. So, well, we're right at that 1 hour mark. I appreciate you guys so much. Remember, we're doing this live. As of right now, we're going to keep shooting for 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. You guys can let me know in the comments or Discord, like if you would like to see this show done later in the evenings. I'm kind of just my schedule is I can pretty much make it how I want, and so I'm trying to just maximize the time that I can hang out with you guys and get this show out on the regular. But would love to hear if you guys have other times that you'd like to check this out. And we're going to keep going at 3 until we kind of all chat and see what you guys think. But having a great time being able to include you guys, get your opinions up on the screen. Just super, super fun. Last reminder too about my birthday on my birthday stream on Thursday. Come hang out for that. That is going to be fun as well. So appreciate all of you, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.